Okay, now I've brought the picture into my mat. So what I want to do is I want to trace this. But in order to make it so that you're not going to have trouble moving things around on your mat, I find it best to go to your layers palette, and you're actually going to add a new layer, and this is going to be your traced image. Now if you click on and add, change rename layer to tracing, and rename this one to picture. And then you're going to lock your picture. Now we're going to go to select the trace area, close your layer palette, and we're going to draw as close to the picture as we can get. Okay, there's my original tracing area. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my high pass filter checked, which is unusual. We're going to check our low pass filter, and we're going to play around with these numbers. And you'll notice as you increase them, it fills in more and more. Okay? And you could do that to catch all their hair. But as you'll notice, it puts these lines are pretty thick around here. I'm going to lower this a little bit so that I pull in some bottom line. Okay, so here we've got, with the high pass up to 13, the lines are really, really thick and their eyes aren't as clear. So I'm going to drop this back down, and I'm going to take this down to about 5. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the low pass filter down to 1/4. Now let's play with the threshold. We're going to bring the threshold up, and as we are, you will see that the lines are becoming much more defined. And you'll see the eyes, the eyebrows, the nose outline, the mouth. Everything is a much more defined area. So I'm going to take this. I found the best setting I liked was about 49.3. And that gives me a pretty good line outside. It fills in their hair. I can fix all this with the nodes later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit trace. And now I've got the picture traced. Now you'll notice I can move this around and it won't let me move anything. Because the trace is on the locked image. So go back to your layers palette, and you're going to find where your trace is. Let's unlock that. This is the picture. I believe this is the trace. So, yep, that would be the trace. So I slid the trace back down to the tracing. I'm going to slide this whole tracing layer to the top. And there we go. Now we've got it where we want it. We want to lock the picture up so the picture does not move. The reason for that is when you're doing your nodes, see, I can move. Oh, we locked the picture up, but it's still moving. It shouldn't be doing that. Let's see if the picture, I set the wrong one. So we're going to switch those around. Go undo, make sure they're lined up. This is actually the picture one right here. So we're going to put that there, and we're going to slide that down, and now slide the tracing back up, and we're going to see if what we can move. We're moving the tracing, but the tracing has to go on the top. So the tracing has to go on top. There we go. Now we got it right. Like I said, just finagle with these until you know that you can't move your picture around. But you see, I'm trying to move the picture and it won't let me. I can move the trace around. Now we want to get closer in here. because what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to eliminate some of these nodes. Up here in the hair, you're not going to want that like that. You're going to want to fill it in. So what you're going to do is you're going to release the compound path, and as you can see, that tracing becomes a complete mess. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take some of this and I'm going to hit on it, and I'm going to hit delete, especially the ones that have gaps in them. And same thing on his forehead. I don't want his lines in his forehead. Believe me, my son would not like it. And you're just going to do this all the way through until you find what you don't want to keep in there. Okay, now here on my son's eyes, I don't know if I want all that shadow, so we'll just take out the ones we know we don't want, and then we'll start adjusting from there. And you literally are doing a trial and error on this. Now let's say we have all the nodes cleaned out that we don't want to do. Now what I would need to do is I need to edit these around his hair. So I'm actually going to blow it up to his hair here, and I'm going to double click on the nodes for this. And what I'm going to do is start moving them around so that you can see, and some of them you're just going to delete. Go up here, click on it, and delete. And it will take out the points and start moving them to where they need to be. And this one here, what it's doing is picking up a lot of the shadows, and you don't need shadows. So you're just going to keep deleting your points until you get it shaped the way that you want it. And this one's got some curve to it, so let's put the curve in properly. And just keep adjusting until you get there. Now when we get to this part here, we're going to be doing a lot of deleting. So I'm going to come over to this side, and you'll see what it's doing. Now you don't want it to be a straight line, so this is where you're going to come and add some nodes in so that it doesn't look so misformed. And we don't need that one. Okay, now I'm going to take this back so you can see the whole thing. Now, if I go up here and I click on some part of the picture where it's going to highlight the trace, so you're going to do this and click on black. Because it's not a compound path, and you can compound path it. Remember, you can do this because you've locked up your picture layer. See, so when I've compound pathed that, I can see that this part of his hair, let me come in a little closer, is going to be black. So it gives you a better perspective. And of course, when you get all done, you can just go to take the black coloring out. Now you'll do this through the whole image. And that's the easiest way that I know. Now I'm going to start doing that again. You can do that compound path, release compound path, anytime you want to start eliminating. And once you've got this done, and again, I'm doing this so you can see the screen, but when I'm doing it myself for just my benefit, I really do a lot of zooming in. Okay, now that is pretty much what I'm going to do here on my oldest son until I decide. And these little ones, you're not going to be able to weed them, so take them right out. And the same thing's going to go for my daughter's hair. Now on this, if you wanted to make your lines thinner, you could. You can also simplify your lines And it will take some of them out of there so that it's not so many cuts. But that part really isn't necessary. My machine did great with it. So this is, like I said, it is just a trial and error so that you decide where you want things and where you don't. Now, I know from doing this before, my son has a big dimple there. I wanted his dimple, but I didn't want it being so dark around his eyes. And you'll see if I pull this away, it's very dark around his eyes. So you do a lot of this, which is why you leave your picture there. Leaving your picture there gives you the possibility to line it back up. Now you can use your knife if you want to take some of the darkness away, but you don't have to. Now on this one, I can also tell that it didn't quite line up on the ear. It made his ear look flat, so I'm going to adjust it right there. Okay, so that kind of tells you how I did do this on my glass block and get it to work. And on my daughter's, with her hair, you literally have to look at the size. This particular thing, I'm looking at this at triple actual size. So you know I'm never going to get these little ones out. So what you're going to do is literally scan for which ones you know you're going to be able to weed and which ones you're not. And that's how you're going to eliminate. This is a long process. It did take me quite a long time to get all this right, but if it's done, it turns out very nicely. So if you have any questions, let me know, but this is the best way I can tell you to do the tracing of the faces. I hope that helped everyone out.